All right. Next up, we have Div Yang.
Hey, Kiyan, you can hear me?
Yes, I can.
How are you, man?
Good, man. Yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. I've been missing these calls for a long time, and actually, I was just about to switch off the lights and just scrolling my phone for the last time, and I just saw the pop up, and I said, "I'll just come for the question."
Beautiful.
So,
Glad to have you back, man.
actually, thanks. Actually, I had just two observations, and that will be my two questions. I saw the squad today, the confirmed squad for the US tour. Actually, seeing the squad just made me realize, and this is just top of my head. These might be addressed in the previous podcast. I've been catching up on them, but so when I see the squad, I just believe that if there's one thing missing, is that X factor, that kind of that bona fide superstar. Like, I know there is Vinicius and there are Rodriguez, and they have their own share of being called a superstar. But the guy that was Benzema, and like the fear, he, even if he had a mediocre season, you can say a kind of a mediocre season, like following from his the best season of his time. And like, I believe that that is the kind of thing that is missing in Real Madrid. And by seeing that, what Real Madrid is always judged by their last game, the most important game of the season, of the game against Man City. And I don't take it granted that Real will reach the final stages of Champions League every time. But Real's season is mostly judged by these kind of games. Any reactions in the transfer market or anything happens due to the results which happen in these games. So, what do you think? And like, how will Real cope up with that X factor being missing? That like, even if Man City replays that game, they will see that Vinicius scored that a hell of a goal against them. A mere presence of Benzema there, kind of. Do you think like Joselu might? And I have high hopes from Joselu as compared to what other people have. I believe that he will be a good. I think our crossing game might come back. The 2017-18 crossing game might come back. That might be a viable option. And it's my gut feeling that we will see Joselu in the starting lineup by the mid-season, if he starts banging in some goals, other than Rodrigo or something else. So, what do you think? How will Real cope up with this? And do you think Joselu can be like, we can do this season without a bona fide superstar?
I think I'm going to try to paraphrase what you're saying. I don't know if it's bona fide super. You're talking about a goal scorer, because I don't think it's true that we don't have a superstar. I think we do. But what you're speaking to is a goal scorer specifically, right? Like a prolific goal scorer, like a Benzema type figure in attack is what
that wins us the games, against the odds.
Yeah, I mean, I think Vinicius has that. I think, but like, again, from a the star striker who will score 40, 50 goals a year, I don't think we have that, obviously. But I don't think we lack a superstar, because a superstar isn't just a goal scorer.
And what do you think? Are we in a better condition to play against Man City? Like, just for an example case.
You mean with the squad we have now, as opposed to this? I mean, what's the difference? We lost Benzema, we gained
Fran Garcia,
right, and Arda Güler and Fran Garcia. It's by the way, I had enough comments in my mentions with in the last few podcasts asking me to pronounce better Arda's last name. So luckily I have two really, really close Turkish friends, and I said, hey, can you please give me a tutorial how to say this guy's name properly so I don't embarrass myself? Arda Güler is the best I can do. Yeah. So I apologize. Arda Güler. And it's supposed to be better than that, but that's the best I can do for now as I keep practicing. I mean, like, Benzema obviously being the biggest difference. I think we did a really good job of shedding some dead weight. And I mean, I'm blown away that we were able to get rid of Hazard. I mean, I know it's not, it still cost us money to do that. But you know, I'm shocked that we were able to do that this summer. Vallejo going on loan. Obviously, we already knew Mariano was not going to renew, and Odriozola looks like he's off to Real Sociedad. So, like, to get rid of that dead weight and then replace it with, you know, bringing Brahim back, Arda Güler, And then obviously Bellingham, who is one of the people I would categorize as a bona fide superstar in the making.
Yeah.
That's pretty solid so far. You need a right back still, which you're probably not going to get this summer, unfortunately. And if you get Mbappe, then it's like an insanely great summer, in my opinion, apart from the right back situation. But if you don't get him, I think the fan base should be prepared for some struggles next season. Are we in a better position against City with this squad? I think with what we missed with Benzema is similar to what we missed with Cristiano Ronaldo. It wasn't just goals, it was leadership. It was the ability to put the team on their back when things aren't going our way. I think we might be in for a rude awakening if we don't actually replace him properly. You're going to miss that organizational ability, the experience, leadership, all that stuff. It wasn't just the goals. The goals are a byproduct of who he is as a figure. I think I agree with you about the Joselu point to an extent. I think he's a really good signing in the context of what he is. He's a squad player who will provide you with really good minutes off the bench, but not as someone who's going to bring you all those goals as a starter.
Yeah.
I don't think this squad is better next season if we don't replace Benzema. I don't think that. No. The only path for that to be true is if Rodrigo takes a really big leap in the goal scoring department and Bellingham gives you 10 to 15 goals from midfield. That's it. That's the only path I see. So
that's actually that was the thing I summarized from Barcelona's last season as well. Like, there are many things that happened in Barcelona which made them win this season. But if I wanted to point out an X factor, it was a bona fide superstar on the number 9 position, which also had an off season in the UCL games or after the World Cup. But I think if you swap Lewandowski out of that squad, apart from Ter Stegen or anything, that is the thing that affects them the most. And that is the reason I believe that having a superstar who bang in the goals is very important for you to win something.
It's the most important position in football. That's why it's the most highest valued one. It's the most expensive one. It's the one that gives you the Ballon d'Or. So you can, if you want, fundamentally disagree with the philosophy behind that they're the most important. I'm sure you'll have your arguments about goalkeeper and defender and defensive midfielder and creator. It is literally the most important and highest valued position in football, is that the guy who can score you the 40, 50 goals a year, because it's the most difficult thing to do. Shay, there's a point here that I want to address in the chat, because Shay says we're in a better position because Benzema was a ghost mostly last season. But I want to disagree with that. I understand that Benzema had a decline year last year. I get that. That's not lost on me. But in his decline, he still scored
32, I believe.
30 something, right?
Yeah, 32 goals.
And let's not forget that there was a stretch of the season where he actually dug deep and unearthed his superstar form. And it was the entire month, like, the jokes of Ramadan Karim.
Yeah.
He was scoring like 3 hat-tricks in a month. He effectively eliminated Barcelona from the Copa del Rey. He was really good in the Champions League. I think it was against Chelsea. So it wasn't Benzema for the whole season. He had struggles with injuries and form, but he did have a stretch there where he took us at another level. And I think that's the point. When he did perform like that, Real Madrid looked completely different from the rest of the season. Because when he's clicking, he's linking up with Vinicius and he's scoring, our attack completely changes. So you might get, like, here and there Joselu doing some cool stuff. But you need that player to make Vinicius' life easier. You need that player to take you in the next level offensively. So that's why, even though I'm encouraged by the fact that we basically turned Vallejo and Odriozola and Hazard and Mariano into Brahim and Goulet and Bellingham, that's all great. But you still need that guy to me up front. You absolutely need him. That's why I'm really worried. I mean, on some level, I'm actually encouraged in a sadistic way that Alvaro was not in the squad. We still haven't gotten a 9 yet because it all points to the fact that plan A of getting Mbappe is actually going to work.
That was my second point.
If that doesn't work, I'm
listening to you, I have a second thought in my mind, like Vinicius' next evolution would be how he copes up with the absence of Benzema, like with the direction he had of like such an experienced number 9 who knows how to play winger with them. And I'll just keep it quick. I had a second question for the Churros podcast, and there I actually missed that question there. I'll just read it out quickly. It was a long question. It was basically regarding that the signing of Arda Güler kind of diminishes the hopes of academy players ever breaking into the Real Madrid squad. And I believe, I know that breaking into the first team squad is down to more to timing than to a sheer talent kind of perspective. And even I cannot put fingers to Real Madrid's recruitment also. Like, they have done fabulous recruitments and have won so much lately, but having this much of a talented B squad, and if not even a single player is even gets to break into the first team, kind of makes me think like right now the best single piece of advice you can give to an academy player who wants to break into a young promising player who wants to break into Real Madrid first team squad is to tell him not to join the Real Madrid academy. Like, if he were from perhaps La Masia or some dark, dingy, unknown street of Brazil, he might be in the Real Madrid first team, I believe. Like, Nico Paz is there, Sergio Arribas is there, and playing almost the similar positions, if not the same position. And still, I believe that academy players see these kind of things. And I know it's a ruthless sport, and obviously Real Madrid the first team will look for itself and they will sign the best things. But kind of, I believe that being an academy player, it kind of hurts your hopes of breaking into the first team.
I don't know if it hurts, but it is true that, like, you know, what would happen. It's an interesting thought exercise, the theoretical of if Arribas did not come through our academy and literally was a kid in Brazil that Juni Calafat had scouted, what would his value be and how much would his chances increase? It's just a thought exercise. I personally believe that our academy should be used more. Having said that, there are players who obviously made it from the academy. The most, there are certain recent examples like Carvajal, who came back from Leverkusen, Casemiro, who came back from Porto, Fede Valverde has been a success, obviously. Lucas Vazquez, not sure you going on the list. And then there's others that I think we missed out on. And we're good enough to help. But we weren't able to, we just looked at it as a transactional business that we can make money off them, like Achraf Hakimi, for example. So I think our academy is better than sometimes we use it for, but I do think it's true that the club also uses this as like, hey, this is literally a money maker for us.
Money maker for us, yes. Right? A huge money maker for us,
yeah. Anthony brought up the example of Fran Garcia coming back from Rayo as well. That's why I've actually been a huge fan and proponent of the idea of not loaning, but selling with the rights. I think that's a fantastic idea. I think it gives incentive to the club who's taking him on to develop that player, and it's great if it works, if they succeed, because they're just a stone's throw away. All it took was Bayer Leverkusen to come in last season and be like, we want this guy, and then it goes on our radar, and we have the right to exercise to the first right of refusal. So I think that's a great business model to follow, actually. All right, Div Yang, we got to move on because
yes, thanks.
We have a lot of questions now. Okay, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Good seeing you, buddy.
Thanks, sir.
All right, we got so we got to move a little bit faster, guys. I apologize because I got 27 minutes left and we have 7 hands up. Okay, so we're gonna move a little bit faster, and if you guys can keep it a little bit more concise. Tridib is next. Tridib, are you there?
Kiyan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Man, I gotta tell you, you've elevated my morning commutes to another level.
I appreciate that, man. Thanks. I'm glad to be a part of your commutes. That's special in itself. Sometimes I just think I'm just speaking into space and nobody's hearing me. Like, it's just like this frequency you put out and like into the galaxy, someone might pick it up. But it's kind of cool to remember that people actually do listen.
Yeah. I did have a 2-parter for today. So my first one is, and it might sound a little obnoxious, but I want to have sort of a serious discussion about this. I wanted to examine how good Gavi is relative to the 7 midfielders we have. I don't want to sort of take into consideration any positional differences that might happen. So I don't want to examine Gavi versus Chouameni, for example, because of their positional difference. I want to have that discussion based on their quality and their potential and so on. So I wanted to see how he stacks up against the 7 of our midfielders. That's my first part, and the second part is Lucas came out with an article about the Mbappe saga a few days ago, and he mentioned a few of his sources. I presume you can't tell me who the sources are, but could you give me an idea on how you sort of cultivate these relationships, what these sources are like, and how the entire process works as a journalist?
So the first question, I think it's 6 without Chouameni, right? Camavinga, Fede Valverde, Jude Bellingham, Dani Ceballos, Toni Kroos, Luka Modric. 6. Am I missing anyone?
Yeah, no, I think it's 6. Yeah, we're not counting Goulet. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, Goulet. Sure.
No, I don't think we count Goulet. I think Goulet is like a right winger in my head.
Goulet. Now I'm sounding like who was that? Will Ferrell skit in SNL? Goulet. Anyone remember that? That's a really niche reference. Arda Goulet. Yeah, I see him as an AM or a Robert Goulet. Yeah, I knew I could rely on you, Miran. So Gavi's not getting in. Gavi was quite lucky in the timing he came up at Barcelona, I think, to break through. If Gavi, for a theoretical conversation, if Gavi came up through Real Madrid Castilla, he would have been long gone. I mean, think about the players he'd have to compete with, right? I think like Pedri, for example, to compare the two, Pedri's making it in my opinion, like in any team, in any system, in any era. Like he is really, really great. But Gavi is not that kind of level of player. So Gavi, I think, really benefited from the timing. Timing really mattered for him to break through. I would this is. I just want to say this because I said this one time and people were like, their brain blew up. They were so shocked. They were like, "How could this be?" Dani Ceballos is better than Gavi. I'm telling you right now.
Agreed.
So we don't Ceballos just doesn't get the same amount of hype because he doesn't play as much. And I think it almost sounds a little bit ridiculous to say that Real Madrid's 7th choice midfielder is better than Gavi. And I'm sure if any Culés were listening to this, and even some Madridistas, they would disagree with that. Luckily, I have some science. Here you go. On the left, this is Gavi. On this left tab, it's Gavi, and this is Ceballos. So what is Gavi better than? And like this is, by the way, this is just an analytical lens, obviously, but this was something that's secondary. I checked after already coming to the conclusion, looking at the eye test, that Ceballos is a better ball progressor. And for all the energy and aggressiveness that Gavi is known for, I think, in my opinion, Ceballos has it. It's just a PR thing. And then I looked at the numbers, like, well, let's at least see what the data says. Ceballos is a better creator. He is a better dribbler, and that's what Gavi's I've seen Culés say that, Gavi's underrated technical ability. He's not just a bruiser. He's a better progressive passer. He's just a better passer, full stop. He works hard on defense. So what is Gavi better at? Scoring goals? Is that what he's there for? So that's my take. I think Gavi would be like 12th choice midfielder in our team, but probably 8th. What was your
My second question was, I read Lucas's article a few days ago about the Mbappe saga, and I also heard his podcast with you. So what are these? I mean, you can't tell me who the sources are, obviously, but how do you sort of cultivate these relationships? And if you could give me a hint of sort of the level at which they're working, their reliability and so on,